task force members just started to do emails to the entire task force about questions that you had about assessment or issues that you had, and I think that's perfectly fine. I mean, the idea that task force members could talk to each other via email is up to you folks to decide, and I think many of you chose to sort of use that as an avenue to share a thought or an idea. Others responded back, and that's fine. If you want to read them, fine. If you don't want to read them, that's up to you. There's no sort of binding expectation there. But it was an opportunity to exchange ideas about assessment. I think it's worked fine. Recently, there was a question that surfaced regarding sort of the whole idea of smarter balance going forward. And has the department purchased items, or has the department made long-term commitment to smarter balance? And while I don't think we should attempt as a task force to address all of the issues that come up during email exchanges, I do think it's important if there's sort of a suggestion that something's been done that people don't know about, I think it's important to address that. So my understanding is that, Greg, you might have some information regarding the sort of department's work with smarter balance now and going forward. And are you comfortable to kind of share, how would you describe the relationship with the DPI and smarter balance today and going forward?
Very good.
Is that a fair question to ask?
That's more than fair.
Okay.
Smarter Balance is designed on an overall network of assets and provides to the states, and each state can decide for itself how many of the assets they wish to access. Under the terms of the North Dakota Memorandum of Understanding, which is the contract with Smarter Balanced, we have provision, the opportunity to use the summative assessment, the interim assessment, and the digital library. Those are three categories of assets. Within the terms of our MOU, the state is billed for the use of those assets. We currently are about $9.55 per student for the use of Smarter Balance. It's about $560,000 on an average cost per year. That covers the cost of all of those assets and being able to use them. There's a separate contract for actually with another vendor, in this case Measure Progress, that we have right now to actually operationalize it. Last year, we had the opportunity to have the interim assessment. It was built into our fee. We did not use it, and so we were credited for not using the interim assessment. This year, we have the opportunity to access the interim assessment to the degree that is able to be operationalized this year. To the extent that it is used is the extent to which the department will be billed. Within our RFP, with Measured Progress, there is a whole series of contingencies in that, so that the state can get access to every asset, but pay for only those that are used. So within the actual contract, with Measured Progress, we would only ever be billed for the number of districts that would choose to use the interim assessment. For those that are not using it, the department would not be billed. So a key component of anything in looking at a system are clearly understanding your assets, understanding the contingencies for the use of those assets, understanding the provisions within the contract where billing occurs for the access to those assets. In this case, we have established within an RFP with both Smarter Balanced and Measured Progress the ability to access and then to pay to the extent that it's used.
Okay. Yes.
May I ask, were the schools as a regular classroom core teacher? I'm not sure, but I think I'm the only one. Oh, I'm not the only one. Okay. But as a regular classroom core teacher, I have not heard anything about this being available. And my school, we were talking about it as the math department yesterday, and nobody was aware of it. We thought we would ask about the possibility because I was aware that we had made that purchase from having seen the receipt. Was it the intention of not letting the schools know so that they wouldn't use it, or, you know?
That's a fair question. The department will make the asset available when the department is in the position to support the asset. We were, because of the summative assessment, move forward with that. We have elected not to deploy the interim assessment until the mechanism or the platform itself is positioned to be able to allow for that to occur. So the reason we have not talked about it is we have not positioned ourselves yet to deploy the interim assessment. It is deployable in the very near future, but we have elected not to do that until the time that it was ready. Then we would communicate to the districts to be able to let them know about the opportunity to access that asset. And we have built into the RFP the various kind of contingencies where a district might pay for it if it chooses to do so, or the possibility for the state to pick up the cost if it chose to do so. We have that built into the contingency. But we did not want to get ahead of the deployment schedule and frustrate people, and instead make it available when it was in fact deployable.
Just a follow comment on that is, in our math meeting yesterday, the other teachers were saying that one reason for the poor test results was that we did not know what was coming until it hit us. I mean, we knew smart balance was coming, but we didn't know the structure of the questions or how they were going to be and so forth. And interim tests would have made a major difference because all we could do is give sample questions. And sample questions is like being asked to fly a F-15 or F-14 fighter, and you're at the sample, you're given a Volkswagen to drive. Just sometimes there's absolutely no comparison.
If I may, it's fair to always raise a question about to the degree you would ever anticipate the design of the test. Within a smarter balanced structure, one of the other sub-assets that are provided are practice tests and training tests that introduce both teachers and students to the general kind of design format for test items. You will never know in advance of a test what the exact item might be. That's the nature of testing. But you can know the various formats and how the test items might emerge. And that's why there exists practice tests and training tests to introduce people to that. Those assets have been readily available for a couple of years within the Smarter Balanced general system, were available last year, are available currently. So in terms of the general flow and the understanding about the structure, that has been readily available. We are still new in this. People are still becoming familiar with this. And so there is a natural evolution, maturation, and appreciation to all the assets and how you can use them.
Thank you. One other, well, there because of this was a comment from the other teachers. I was not involved in giving the test. I don't know. I was not involved in any of the practice tests, so I don't know. But their complaint was that the practice test, from their viewpoint, did not really correlate as far as the kind of questions to get the students ready to what they actually saw when they took the test.
Enough, duly noted. And those are all things that I think can be, comment?
I can just speak to what we did at the elementary school in Thompson last spring. And we had one fourth grade section that really never got into the practice test. They had a teacher that left on maternity leave, and she never got her kids into the computer lab and played with the practice tests. Those kids really struggled with the assessment. The rest of our grade level kids, because of the practice time they got, while you're right, the questions maybe weren't formatted or whatever word you want to use for what the test was, but their comfort level with using the keyboard and using the Chromebook and just being comfortable taking the test, we didn't have any problems. And the only problems we had with Smarter Balance last year was keeping the thing up and running. Once our kids got with the practice test and when they got in there, the test went very, very well.
I will say that we encouraged my I wrote to principals, I wrote to superintendents, I wrote to our test administrators. We encourage, and that's all we can do from the department is, because those are local school districts. I would have a conversation with your administration, whether it was Warwick or Milwaukee, where we're at now, and we encourage those school districts to do that with their teachers, or provide the time for their teachers to do that. A couple things, another question that are aligned to this, to make it, and as we tried, I had a question about, it was from Stacy, had a question